Hello guys, welcome back to the channel, welcome back to the garage. Today's the day. Today our truck gets the transmission back installed, gets our Muldoons 48RE back in the truck. This is our, let's just say, Gucci transmission. This has all the fancy bells and whistles in it. We are going to have a spare one made, but it's not going to be to the level of this one. This is going to be our main transmission. So this has the solid Sancher input shaft that we don't have to worry about breaking, and going on that will be our Suncoast converter, which has been sent down, cut and cleaned, because if you guys remember, when we destroyed our intermediate shaft, we had metal everywhere. So it did take a little longer to get our transmission back, which is 100% my fault. So when the intermediate shaft went, it actually took out both 6-pinion planetaries. So rather than having John source those for us and having him to do the legwork and having do it that way, I searched out and found 6-pinion planetaries for it. Just kind of save a couple bucks here and there. Also, when our intermediate shaft broke, it kind of broke at a point. So the two halves were at a point, so when that thing was spinning around, it would jam the intermediate shaft forward. And what that did was actually press on the back side of the input shaft, which, let me grab an input shaft. All right, so here's an old scored up input shaft. This one actually suffered an intermediate shaft failure years and years and years ago as well. I believe this is a stock sized billet input, but anyhow, as you guys can see here, there's actually a piston that resides here that pushes on your forward clutches. So anytime the vehicle is in drive, these clutches are being applied. So as you guys see, there is this little brass like spacer washer. That thing is stuck in there. It won't come out. So that's how our Sancher shaft was. This was all jammed in there due to our intermediate shaft kind of contacting itself and driving it forward. So it actually beveled this back part of our input shaft out on this hub. And this piston that's supposed to slide freely would not come out. So I was actually able to work it out finally. We sent our input shaft back to Matt Sancher at Sancher Performance Development. He checked it, made sure our shaft was true, it was straight, and he also machined our rear hub here to make sure that our piston would slide freely and everything was like brand new. So he saved us a good bit of money and not having to buy a new shaft or something. The shaft did not fail. It was the intermediate shaft behind it jamming everything forward. So he was able to do that. We did have to get a new stator support because when everything got jammed up, I actually had to pry the converter off and the input was kind of sitting at an angle because of the intermediate, like I had said. But that ruined our stator support. So we had to get a new stator support and some machining done to our input shaft, but Matt assures me it's as good as new. So we didn't have to buy a new input. We were just able to save a few bucks, and he was able to, freshen that thing up and get it back to how it should be, back within spec and all that. So that's one thing that's nice. I called him up and said, hey, here's what happened, and what can we do? He said, send it down to me. I'll see what I can do. And we ended up being able to get by with our shaft, and everything's good to go. So big shout out to those guys. Check them out. Definitely, this is something I'm glad. Like when we were at the track, I wasn't worried about this. I was pretty sure it was intermediate shaft because I don't think we're going to break that thing. So anyhow, we're going to get our Muldoons transmission in, but we have a couple updates. So we've been using this B&M deep pan, standard deep pan for years now. It's what's always been on the truck. We're going to upgrade. We got this double deep pan. It's a double deep AFE pan. And as you guys can see, it's a little bit beat up. This is actually a used pan from the guys at Fire Pump. They have a little garage sale section on their website. You can check it out. But we were ordering some other parts that you guys will see here in the coming weeks from them. And I said, hey, throw a double deep pan in there with it. Just pick one. I wasn't really concerned about how it looked as long as it functioned properly. So this one is double deep. It has cooling fins, so we'll be able to have more fluid in there. Hopefully that'll help to keep things cool or cool them down quicker. And also what we are doing is we're adding this deep pan filter extender from Derail. I don't know if these AFE pans normally come with this or not. Like I said, this was a used unit from Fire Pump, came with the bolts and all, but whether this was on the unit they pulled it off, I don't know. But this will drop our filter down an extra inch. So what that means is our filter will be sitting a little further in the pan. So we'll still fill it up to what our dipstick says level-wise. So we'll have a couple more quarts in there, and the filter will be down further. So when we launch the truck or whatever, there's less risk of, you know, all the fluid going to the back of the pan or wherever, and that filter kind of becoming uncovered and kind of cavitating. So that'll keep it submerged in the fluid. But the main thing I was hoping for was just to have that deep pan. Couple extra quarts, trying to keep things cooler and cool them down a little quicker. The other change we're making to our transmission is I made a bracket. This bracket is for our ratchet shifter. Normally this bracket would mount on the pan like so. And when we originally put this in the truck, I actually had to shave it way down because just with this BD pan, it wasn't working out too well. And I wasn't really happy about that. So I've been looking for a solution, and on our AFE pan, it just won't work at all without machining. And Logan built, actually, who we got our SFI flex plate shield from, he actually makes something like this. So if you want something like this, you can just hit him up and purchase it from him. I decided to make my own. Basically, it's going to go through this hole in the trans, and I have a plate here, so when we tighten it up, it'll tighten against the case, and we'll be able to run our ratchet shifter cable through here and be able to hook it up to our lever, making things a little easier when we got to pull the trans out. It's one nut, drop that off, get everything out of the way, and we don't have to mess with the bolts here and the bracket and all that. This BD pan will be going on our spare transmission once we get it here to get it built. So that's the plan. We're going to swap the pan out, put our filter extender on, put our filter back on, all that kind of stuff, and then we're going to get the hossing this thing into the truck, throw a couple quarts of fluid in the Suncoast converter, and get our transmission installed. So that's tonight's plan. Get the transmission mostly installed. I know I don't have enough fluid for it, so I know we can't start the truck tonight or anything like that. So, all right, it's transmission time here on the Turbo Tom channel once again. So let's get to it. All right, so our transmission is in, everything went well. Transfer case is in, our cross member is in, it's not completely bolted up. Definitely did not get as far as I wanted to tonight. I wanted to have this completely installed, converter hooked up, everything, but I actually put it in a little different this time. I put just the transmission in. It was a lot easier to move it around, and then I got the transfer case in with the trans jack, which was all well and good, and I was kind of thinking to myself, why didn't I used to do this before? Well, there's one bolt on the transfer case you can't get to with the cross member in, so we had to sport the transmission again and put that nut on. Not a big deal, but definitely easier to get the transmission lined up without the transfer case on there. Transfer case could be a little bit difficult to manhandle, but I might make like a cradle for it. Just that way you can put it in the cradle, jack it up, and you're good to go. Anyhow, the reason we didn't get anything else done is our bracket here. So if you look at it, that cobbled together thing with a bunch of washers, The bracket I made didn't work. It was too far, like it was kind of like the end of this plate. Didn't have enough adjustment to get back to where it needed to be. So then I kind of just flipped it around, cut the plate off, and well, that was too far the other way. So we pretty much have to be in line with the bolt, and then we have plenty of adjustment. So I've been messing with that for a while, and as you can see, I got it finally good. Everything, you know, it just lines right up and perfect, because you don't want this thing to be off a little, because then you can burn up the transmission. So it is extremely late, so what I'm going to do is actually pull that bracket off. I'll make something better, something that's not cobbled together and a bunch of washers stacked, and we'll get a good bracket there, and then we'll proceed with this tomorrow. So maybe we will get the fire of this thing and maybe pull it out of the garage in this video. We'll see. But yeah, kind of sucked. I was happy with the bracket how it was, but it is what it is, and we'll pick up again tomorrow. Welcome to a very, very beautiful day, but very, very windy. So guys, we're back, gonna finish out this video. So last night we started putting our transmission in, and everything was going great. Everything was working the way it should. Then we ran into a little hiccup. I had made a bracket, which I think I went over all this already, but anyway, I made a bracket for our shifter linkage, and it didn't work, so I got messing with that, got so enthralled with that, the night kind of escaped me. So today I made a new one. I just put a coat of paint on it there. It's hanging up drying. So once that is done drying, we can get that installed, but in the meantime, we have plenty to do. So if we crawl under the truck here, the transmission itself's mounted, transfer case, all that. We have our cross member bolts to tighten up, front drive shaft to put in, rear drive shaft to put in. We have to bolt up our torque converter. We have to put our fill tube in, and we have to hook up all of our electronics, our transfer case linkage, all that kind of stuff. So just a bunch of little stuff to piecemeal together. We got to put our cooler lines in, reinstall them, and all that. And I also got fluid today. So as you guys can see, we have plenty of trans fluid. Now, I always run CarQuest ATF fluid, Dexmark fluid in my truck, just because it's you know, it's cost effective, and I have a Advanced Auto locally. Now, they have rebranded to Fram. I don't know why. It's the same exact stuff. When I got the gallon jug, you know, it's the same exact gallon jug as the CarQuest ones over there, right there. So same exact jug. They just put a Fram label on it now, which is kind of unfortunate, because I always consider Fram filters to be junk. So same CarQuest fluid, but now it's called Fram. So it is what it is, but the Dexmark is the Dexmark, so we're going to use it. It's good fluid. We haven't had a problem with it yet, so it's just called Fram. I just really don't like that. Anyway, let's get to reassembling the truck, and maybe we'll get her started and pulled out of the garage tonight. Oh, I'm stoked. So the transmission is installed with everything. Our lines are hooked up, all that kind of stuff. Torque converter is bolted up. Our front drive shaft is in, rear drive shaft is in. Everything, electronics are hooked up. Everything is hooked up other than the sensors for the temperature of the pan and whatnot. So not really worried about that at this point. We will get to that later. But we have 9 quarts of fluid in the transmission. We have 8 in the pan, and I put a quart in the torque converter before we put it on there. What else? I think that is about it. Also filled the front differential, so we're good there. It's probably going to take a bit of cranking because I did have the fuel lines off when we were trying to reroute stuff for our mid plate, so might take a little bit. We are in park, so let's see. I hooked the battery back up. I do have to hook our cable back up once we get rid of our hitch. We do have lights in the cab, so yeah, here goes nothing. Well, she started right up. I'm shocked. Wow. Because I had the fuel lines off up here to. Wow. All right, let's fill the trans some more. Well, the drag truck moves once again. So the transmission is full. Everything is good. Started right up. I was shocked. I guess it was just fuel left in, by the fuel pumps or by the CP3 pumps and all that, because the main line was dry and the tank was even empty. So it had to have been just fuel that was on the other side of the air dog or something like that. So yeah, started right up, fantastic. We definitely still have a bunch of stuff to do. We got a bunch of lines and like our nitrous solenoid we need to reattach. I had to put the engine diaper back on, all that kind of stuff. We got to get rid of our hitch. If we're going to take it to the track, we got to hook up our temperature sensors for the transmission. We got a bunch of stuff to do, a bunch of little nitpicky things to do. Nothing exciting, but other than that, I think the truck is about ready for the track. There's actually a test and tune at Cecil tomorrow. We're not going to make that, but we're gonna drive it up and down the driveway, make sure everything's shifting good. But yeah, so the truck moves once again. We can actually clean the garage. We got metal and stuff from all of our little miscellaneous activities all over the place, from between putting our U-joint shield on the rear and doing our front end stuff. So another thing, I'm gonna have to check the power steering fluid, go through that, because now that we have our new rack, I'm sure we're probably gonna need some power steering fluid. But I'm gonna have to let this thing get up to temperature, not tonight, but tomorrow or whenever. Let it get up to temperature, make sure we don't have any leaks. We gotta fill it with water, a bunch of little stuff to do, but I am so stoked that this thing is back moving again. It's awesome. She definitely needs a bath in the engine compartment and outside of it because she is filthy. Once again, anytime this truck ends up in the garage and the transmission's out of it, we cut a bunch of stuff off, and then, well, then this happens. So, oh well, it is what it is. But the drag truck moves once again. I'm so excited. I can't wait to get this thing to the track. It's been, the last few days have been nice here in Pennsylvania. It is still March, so who knows? It'll probably be like 30 degrees next week, my luck. But yeah, hopefully there's a test and tune next week or something like that next weekend. I don't know what their schedule is. I got to take a look. I did know that there was one tonight and one tomorrow, but like I said, we're not going to rush to make that stuff. We're going to go over the truck, make sure everything's right and all that. But, oh, man, it is good to have this thing move again. I can't believe it fired up that quick. That was awesome. But, yeah, this thing, whew, that's a good feeling. It's a good feeling when this thing's moving around. That's awesome. So, guys, I don't have anything else more to say. The transmission's back in, filled up. We got a bunch of little stuff to do, and yeah, she'll be ready to hit the track here soon. So I hope you guys enjoyed. Please like the video, subscribe down below. Catch you guys in the next one. Get out in your garage, get the wrenching on your truck.